April 29th began like other mornings on Galway Drive. Sunny, neighbors at home working and cleaning, children in school nearby. Then, at around 1:30, officers attempted to serve a warrant to previously convicted felon Terry Clark Hughes Jr. From the upstairs, Hughes began shooting at the officers, out the front, out the back. Officers returned fire. SWAT trucks swarmed the street. A helicopter circled above. The scene brought one neighbor who served in Desert Storm to tears. At least 100 rounds were fired in the 3-hour standoff. The suspect eventually came out of the house still armed and was killed. 4 officers were wounded and 4 others killed. Among the dead, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Officer Joshua Iyer. His department's chief of police, Jennings, joins us now. Chief, thank you so much for being with us. How are you and your officers doing in the wake of all of this?
Well, probably as well as can be expected. It's been such a whirlwind of things going on. It's really difficult to even pause and think about how you're feeling. But we know we still have a job to do despite all of this tragedy, and our officers have really stepped up to the plate and supported each other and loved each other. And I think that's what's going to get us through in the end.
And Chief, on the specifics of the case, what is the current assessment as to how many people were shooting?
We're still sorting through that. We're not ruling anything out. I know I came out and indicated there could have been a second shooter. We're not ready to definitively say that yet, but there is that possibility. But that's what all the evidence is going to tell us at the end of the day when we start looking at timelines and matching up body-worn camera footage with certain things that were occurring on the scene. So we'll definitely get to that point at some point in the investigation, but we're not ready to say definitively yet.
Chief Jennings, there was an AR-15, a .40 caliber handgun, as well as magazines and ammunition for both. You've been on the force, I believe, for more than 30 years. What is it like facing that kind of firepower that the suspect had in this case?
It's unimaginable when you get a high-powered rifle with rapid fire, and just even the sound in and of itself can be traumatic. And when you know that you're being fired upon, and not only being fired upon, but you also have a mission to go in and save officers who are currently down. And as you're doing that, you see officers getting shot as well, and that's just a heroic act by all of the men and women involved in this response. And I couldn't be more proud of what they did, and to be able to say that I'm a police officer based on their actions. And just devastating outcome, but there could have been more lives lost had they not acted the way they did.
How different does it feel now in law enforcement than when you joined in 1992 with that kind of firepower in the world?
Well, I think it's a lot different. I was actually on the phone on the way to get ready for this interview, that just talking about the difference in what we saw when we were younger officers and the things that we did that we definitely would not do now when we were fighting the war on drugs and chasing people and getting out with people with little to no backup. And I think things are just so much different now that I think society has lost a great deal of respect, not just for one another, but also for law enforcement, with a lot of the things that we've seen over the past 4 or 5 years. And it just makes it so difficult, and it's devastating to what we try to do when we're trying to keep our community safe.
And as a final question, Chief, you mentioned this earlier, but as a law enforcement officer, you and your colleagues wake up every morning knowing that there might be a day like this, even though this was a particularly awful and terrible day. Remind us again of what you tell officers, new officers joining the force, about that risk, about that service that they are signing up for.
Well, that's a great question. Every day you put this uniform on, there's no guarantee you're coming home. And it's not only just for the officers themselves, but for their loved ones, their family members. They sacrifice as well, and we're seeing that with the results of what happened yesterday. But officers know the dangers that they're getting into. You just hope you never have to be faced with it. At the same time, these officers yesterday acted so heroically that if I was down and needed assistance, I knew that I would know that I can count on them to come in and try and save me. So very proud of the work that they did.
Johnny Jennings, Chief of Police for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.